I'm in the mood today to just do a glam, bronzy, summery makeup look. I have a bunch of products in front of me. Some are kind of older, some are newer, but let's just dive right into it. I know I'm going to use my Fenty Eaze Drop Stick for foundation, and whenever I use any kind of stick foundation, I like to use some kind of pore filling primer. So I'm going to use this one by Smashbox. It's the Pore Vanishing Photo Finish Primer. And this just kind of blurs my pores. It gives me a nice smooth base to work with and is a little bit mattifying, which is perfect for summer. And then like I said, for foundation, I'm using the Fenty Beauty Eaze Drop Blur Smooth Tint Stick, and I have the shade 5. It's been a minute since I've used this product, but I pulled it out of my foundation drawer and I was like, oh yeah, I used to love this for summer. And I've actually used quite a bit of this. I only have this much product left, which I feel like I could finish sometime in the near future if I really tried to. But this foundation stick just glides right on, and it's a little bit more hydrating and glowy. It doesn't cling to any dry patches or anything, and especially since I put that more smoothing primer underneath it, like it really does glide right on. I've been thinking about challenging myself to do another project pan sometime soon, just because I am planning on moving in the near future, and I would like to not move with so much makeup. And I have a lot of products like this where it's like they're pretty close to being done, and if I just really spent the time and effort to finish them up, I probably could. I don't know, maybe a little summer project pan series could be kind of fun. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, this looks really nice and smooth, has more of a light to medium coverage because it is like a skin tint and a stick. So I am going to take a little bit of my NARS Soft Matte Concealer in Custard just on any spots that are still peeking through. It is the week before my period, so I definitely have a couple breakouts. Of course, I'm going to use my Sigma eye brush set today, so I'm going to grab my AB1 brush and use that to buff out the concealer. Now I'm going to grab my Catrice under eye brightener and apply that under my eyes with the same brush. I just feel like my under eyes are looking extra dark today, and I don't know why. But look at that before and after, so much brighter over here. Now for the super bronzy look that I'm going for today, one of the stars of the show is the new Natasha Denona High Sculpt Liquid Bronzer. I have really been enjoying this liquid bronzer. It is so pigmented, easy to blend, lasts all day. So I think it's perfect for summer. I'm gonna do like half a pump on the back of my hand, and then you just wanna dot it around the perimeter of your face. And then I'm blending that out with the fluffy side of the Natasha Denona face brush. Oh, and I'm using the shade Bamboo today. It's actually the lightest shade. So I like to get this all around the perimeter of my forehead and kind of push it into my hairline. And then I'll go back to my foundation brush and soften right here where my foundation meets the bronzer. More bronzer here and here. And I'm kind of going right on top of the cheekbone. And then I like to add some along my chin here. And the reason why I'm dotting it on my face and then blending it out is because this stuff is so pigmented. I find that if I were to dip my brush in it, like it would just be way too much product at once. And then bringing whatever's left over down my neck. But I just find that this product is so easy to work with. It blends beautifully, it sinks into the skin, and it has more of a natural, like soft matte finish to it, so you don't really need to set it with powder if you don't want to. Now I'm gonna pop on my under eye concealer. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. And then also my eyeshadow primer. This is the Rare Beauty one, because I am just getting my eye area ready for shadow now. And then using that same AB1 brush to blend out both of these products. Then I'm going to grab my Huda Beauty powder and pound cake and use that to set my entire eye area, so on my eyelid and my under eyes. My eyes are ready for shadow now, and for my palette today, I'm gonna use the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette. I think this palette is perfect for summer. I love the warmer, more peachy tones in this palette, and I do have a code on Natasha Denona's website if you're shopping and want to save some money on the palette or even the liquid bronzer, and the code is just ANGELABRIGHT. But let's zoom in and do an eye look. Again, for all of my eyeshadow brushes today, I'm using my Sigma eye brush set. Starting with the crease brush, I'm gonna grab the shade Fervor, and I'm gonna run this throughout my entire crease. Okay, that was just one dip into the shadow, and look at how pigmented that is, and also how easily that blended out. I am grabbing a little bit more just to build it up. Okay, so I have that laid down throughout my entire crease, but I definitely want to soften it out because you can just see all of these harsh lines like right below my brow. So I'm going to grab my fluffy blending brush with the shade Ripe, and I'm going to use that and just blend right over all of the edges of Fervor. And you can totally see how that just helped to soften and smooth everything out. There's no more harsh lines. Now I'm grabbing more Fervor, and I'm gonna add that to the outer part of my lid and connect it into the outer crease. And then with whatever's left over on my brush, I'm gonna bring it right into this inner part of my lid. So I'm pretty much just leaving the center of my lid blank for now. Now I'm grabbing my shader brush in the shade Vim, and I'm gonna add that to the very outer corner of my eye just to deepen this up a little bit more, and then again with whatever's left over on the brush into the inner corner. I don't really dip back into the palette when I'm adding shadow on the inner corner because I don't want this to be too deep. I like the outer corner to still be just a tad bit deeper. I did pick up a little bit more, and I'm just kind of smoothing it out. Now I grabbed even more Vim on the tip of this brush, and I'm going to run that across my entire lower lash line. And then I picked up a little bit of that lighter shade Ripe on this brush, and I'm using that to soften out Vim on my lower lash line. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my NYX glitter primer. You only need a tiny bit of product, and I'm gonna pat that right in the very center of my eyelid. I have a couple options of shimmers that I could do, but I think I want to do Snug today. I have that on my finger and just tapping that right on top of that glitter primer. Oh, that is so pretty. I love how this shade has more of a peach undertone to it. Then I'm gonna go back to my crease brush that I used earlier and just kind of soften around the edges of the shimmer. Now I'm gonna grab Elm on my small detail brush. I'm gonna pop that right in my inner corner and a little bit under my brow. Now I'm gonna add a nude liner to my waterline. Then on that small detail brush, I'm gonna grab Pep, and I'm gonna run that right on top of my lower lash line. I really like the look of having that lightness in the waterline with the nude liner and then that deeper shadow just right below it. So I went ahead and just popped on some mascara. No false lashes today, also because my small business, The Bright Lashes, is now out of business and I need more lashes in my collection. I just bought some to try from Lily Lashes, so we'll see. But I actually do really like how this eye look looks with just mascara on. But I actually tried a new mascara today, or at least it's new to me. It's the Lancôme Lash Idol Flutter Extension. And I gotta say, I really liked it, especially the size of this wand because it's more on the smaller side, so it did a really good job at just grabbing all of my lashes. And here's a final close-up of the eye look. All right, here are what the eyes look like all done, and now let's finish up the base and do lips. I am gonna add just a little bit of powder where I feel like I need it. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder in the shade 2. Just kind of where I can get a little bit shinier throughout the day, right here on these pores. Also the center of my forehead, just to lightly set. So we talked about how you don't really need to set the Natasha Denona liquid bronzer, but because I'm going for like full bronze vibes today, I am gonna add a powder bronzer on top. This is the newer Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Blurring Bronzer. I'm using the shade Light Medium. And this one will actually pair really nicely with the Natasha Denona bronzer because this one has a matte finish to it as well. It's kind of fun how matte and bronzy is like slowly coming back. Now I do want to add just a little bit of a powder blush, and NARS sent me some of their Orgasm blushes, and I don't know if I've ever actually owned like the original Orgasm blush, but I know they have like a couple different variations of it, so this is the original Orgasm. But there was one that I really liked. Let me see here. This is Orgasm Rush. Looks like it's a little bit deeper. This one is Orgasm X, and then this is Orgasm Edge. I actually really like this color, and this is the one that I want to try today. And this one is matte, and I think this shade is actually really pretty. And then I just got these newer NARS highlighters in, and I want to use this more pinky shade Heavenly as kind of like a blush topper slash highlighter, especially since my cheeks are pretty matte right now. Oh, that is so pretty. I knew I was gonna like this as a blush topper. Now I'm gonna line my lips with the Huda Beauty Lip Contour Stain in the shade Soft Nude. Drying out on me again. Ugh, this is so frustrating. I just kind of keep trying until it works, but it's definitely frustrating to use. And then popping on the Jelly Oil in Juicy Peach. And now I'm gonna set everything with the One Size Powder Melt Glass Setting Spray. I did just get the most perfect summer fragrance in the mail. It's by Vacation. It has notes like coconut water, coconut milk, bergamot, banana, pineapple, pool water, and sea salt. But it literally smells like summer vacation in a bottle. It smells like sunscreen, but I also smell the banana, but it's also like very sophisticated at the same time. I love this, and I will be wearing this all summer. All right, and that is my bronzy summery makeup look, and I gotta say, I love how this look turned out, and I'm even surprised by how much that I like this look without false lashes. Because if you were to ask me like 2 years ago, if I was wearing a full eye makeup look, I am always gonna wear false lashes, but I kind of like the vibe of this, you know? I had so much fun creating this makeup look, so hopefully this gave you some summery, bronzy makeup inspiration. As always, I'm gonna link all the products and brushes I used today down below, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.